Hey there, Gacha Gang, Kawaii50 back with another FGO servant breakdown, here to talk with you all about a servant I know many of you fell in love with during the recent Oku event. I've been a fan of her since the beginning, but I'm not doing that to gloat, I'm just doing that to show how happy I am that so many of you have fallen in love yourselves with the caster of the Nightless City, Scheherazade. We're going to be going over all aspects of Scheherazade's kit, doing our best to maximize her effectiveness and potential through allies, craft essences, and command codes. If this video helps you out, be sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. Let's start by taking a look at Scheherazade's stats. She's got a quick Arts Buster deck and a 5-hit AoE Arts type Noble Phantasm. Her max HP is very fitting for a character whose number one desire is to not be murdered, at 15,846. But unfortunately, this means the cut had to come somewhere. Her max attack of 9,212 is very, very low, and that gets even lower when you consider that casters have a 0.9 times multiplier to their attack stat. So even with an NP per hit of 0.51%, it is honestly going to be very, very difficult, even on an Arts Brave chain, for Scheherazade to completely refund her Noble Phantasm after use. Star Absorption isn't even really worth mentioning, in all honesty. Scheherazade's point is to use her Noble Phantasm, use it quickly, and use it as many times as possible. Scheherazade has and will receive a significant number of rank ups, so I'm going to be going over the ranked up version of every single skill in her arsenal. Starting with this skill's rank up, which the current ETA is 7 of 2022, that's July, and it is Bedtime Storyteller rank EX. This rank up to her first skill keeps the base benefits, the chance to decrease NP gauge for a single enemy by 1, and increasing Scheherazade's arts card effectiveness by 10 to 30%. But it also gains with upgrade an NP steroid of 20 to 30%. Even though this skill is not getting upgraded for a while, I still highly recommend you max it first, mainly because this is Scheherazade's primary booster of her damage. This is her arts card effectiveness booster. This is the main reason you are going to be using this skill. The NP gauge decrease, just a bonus. Scheherazade's second skill is Bedchamber of Survival rank A+. This has a 30 to 60% chance to charm all male enemies, and also increases Scheherazade's defense by 20 to 40% for 2 turns. I definitely recommend you max this skill last. The main benefit of it is the defense booster, and I really, really wish they had instead given Scheherazade an evade or an invincibility or something else other than a defense booster. That makes this skill significantly less effective than it really could be. Max is last. And Scheherazade's final skill, which did receive a buff with her first interlude, is Anti-Hero Speech rank EX. This gives her 1 instance of Guts that lasts for 5 turns, and she can revive with 1,000 to 3,000 HP. It also decreases the attack of a single King-type enemy by 30 to 50% for 1 turn. After upgrade, this skill gains the ability to grant all of Scheherazade's allies Guts. This is a flat 500 HP Guts, and it revives those allies 1 time, and it lasts for only 2 turns instead of 5. I definitely recommend leveling this skill second, mainly because, 1, it's not nearly as bad as Scheherazade's second skill, and 2, because getting a cooldown on any Guts skill is great, but getting a cooldown on a party-wide Guts skill is even better. Getting this down to 6 turns as soon as possible should be your immediate priority after maxing out her damage-dealing skill. Now, I did mention before that Scheherazade has a difficulty looping, and that is half true. After you upgrade Scheherazade's Noble Phantasm, it gets a boost that is honestly significant enough for Scheherazade to actually have a chance to loop her Noble Phantasm and gain a full refund of it off of an Arts Brave chain. And Alf Layla, Wa Layla really needed this upgrade. To start with, it grants an NP strength boost by 20% for 1 turn. Then it deals damage to all enemies. This gets upgraded from 450% at rank 1 to 600% at rank 1, so it is a very, very significant boost. This skill also gains a 500% chance to decrease the debuff resist for all enemies by 50%. That lasts for one time over 3 turns, and it really helps when it comes to her second skill, the Charm effect. Giving that a better chance makes it slightly less worthless. And the overcharge effect of this skill is Scheherazade's main niche. This deals special attack to King-type enemies, and this extra damage can range anywhere from 200 to 300% depending on overcharge. Remember, after you upgrade this Noble Phantasm, not before, after, you do have a chance to loop a Scheherazade if you have the right arts type support on her. If not, I wouldn't really worry about doing that. You still need to go ahead and do a rank up quest, so prioritize that before you really bring her along for any more difficult quests or wave clearing. Scheherazade's main supporters sit firmly in the arts type category of servants. Caster Artoria, of course, being the big dog on JP, Tamamo no Mai being the big dog on NA. There are, of course, your lesser arts type supporters, your Caster Gilgameshes, your Helena Blavatskys, your Prince of Lan Lings. All of these characters are of massive benefit to Scheherazade. I'm going to mention yet another one of these characters and a couple other ones in a more targeted ally section of this, and this should give you some better ideas for more fun characters to pair with Scheherazade that don't necessarily fit the arts type supporter mold. But before we depart from that, I need to continue preaching the gospel of Paracelsus von Hohenheim. This man is one of the most underrated servants. I'm still seeing it in a lot of circles. I don't quite understand. This man is great. 3 turns of increased NP gain to an ally that is tied to a targeted gut skill is absolutely phenomenal. Plus, he gives your whole party an arts card effectiveness to boot. Even if you're just using his skills immediately and then going ahead and swapping him out for somebody else, these 2 skills are going to give Scheherazade a massive boost to her overall damage and her ability to loop her AoE Noble Phantasm. Quite a few of these next couple servants are going to be extra classes. I'm going to kick off this part with the 3-star Avenger Antonio Salieri, and this is mainly because of his Noble Phantasm. Salieri's Noble Phantasm on overcharge decreases the arts resist for all enemies by 10 to 30% for 3 turns. If you're using this on a simple 200% overcharge, say you've got 3 level 1 Noble Phantasms lined up in a row, that is a 15% arts resistance reduction. Use your, say, supporter Tamamo no Mai Noble Phantasm, then use your Salieri Noble Phantasm, and that's going to be a super easy way to maximize Scheherazade's damage. Sherlock Holmes can also provide several huge bonuses to Scheherazade as well, through his own Noble Phantasm Elementary, my dear. Not only does this Noble Phantasm have a defense decrease for all enemies, which of course helps with the Noble Phantasm of Scheherazade's reaching overkill, it also gives Scheherazade Ignore Invincibility and Ignore Defense, so her Noble Phantasm is going to hit harder and is going to hit through both Invincibility and Evade. That is some fantastic utility for our caster. Surma Yi is also coming out soon on NA, so I kind of felt like it was relevant to mention her here as well. Surma Yi provides Scheherazade with a bunch of utility tools that make it so she doesn't die, so they should be fast friends. Tactician's Advice grants a defense up and a damage cut while charging an MP gauge. Scheherazade is able to get a boost to her attack off of Emperor's Command, which grants NP gauge. And she is also able to get some invincibility and debuff resist off of Supreme Mystic Code Volume and Hydrogyrum. And after this skill gets a rank up, you've guessed it, it gets a charge to the NP gauge as well. And Unspeakable Formation is a very powerful support Noble Phantasm that will decrease the defense of all Scheherazade's enemies by 30 to 50% depending on the NP level. It is just truly a remarkable Noble Phantasm for any AoE damage dealer. Scheherazade is no exception. And finally, I do want to give a shout out to my buddy Manpig, who reminded me that Ganesha exists. So I really feel like Ganesha deserves a spot in this video because of it. Not just because she works superbly with Scheherazade. Not only is Ganesha able to draw a bunch of enemy attention towards her, but she's got that defense reduction we have already mentioned. She's got the ability to recover HP so she can stick around in being a taunter. And she's also able to provide Scheherazade with an invincibility, an NP gain boost, an attack boost, and a small NP gauge bonus. Ganesha also has the special ability to grant all of her allies a gain 5 crit stars per turn buff. So it's like giving them a mini fragment of 2030 on top of whatever craft essence they already have. With Ganesha taking neutral damage, she's going to be around for a long time to provide those benefits to Scheherazade. When it comes to craft essences for Scheherazade, there's only so many I can mention in a reasonable amount of time for this video, but the main stats you're going to want to look for are arts card effectiveness, NP gain, NP damage, and anything that affects overcharge if you're having Scheherazade fight king type enemies, because that is a bonus gained off of overcharge. To start with a freebie recommendation, Chaldea Sapphire still remains an excellent pick, granting arts card effectiveness as well as NP damage. If you're looking to go full NP damage, the Black Grail still remains absolutely unrivaled. That 500 HP per turn demerit is absolutely worth it when you are granting your servant a 60 to 80% NP damage boost. Cute Orangette is one of my personal favorite craft essences, and it does work very well on Scheherazade, granting her an NP gain boost and an overall boost to her NP strength, so this should help significantly with NP looping. And of course, 2 of the premier overcharge craft essences are going to be really good on Scheherazade when it comes to challenge quests when you're fighting a king-type enemy. Devilish Bodhisattva is of course there for you if you need a starting NP gauge boost tied with your NP overcharge boost, but if you're looking for pure NP damage, I feel like the better option is going to be Duke of Flame. This grants NP strength along with that NP overcharge boost. You're going to overall be dealing more damage to your challenge quest target. When looking at Scheherazade's command codes, I was really hoping there were command codes that targeted the king trait, just so we could chuck a bunch of those on her, but unfortunately those don't really exist, so we have to go another option with Scheherazade's codes. Even though Scheherazade's starting star weight is on the lower end, though not necessarily berserker bad, I still feel like it is the best idea to draw those stars towards Scheherazade's arts cards. Doing so will give her a chance to crit, and if she's able to crit, she will get a larger refund off of those arts cards. So look for things like Immature Illusionary Command Seal. There is, of course, the freebie variant of this, Code Focus, and Armament of Triumph exists as well if you've still got one of those laying around. Pretty much anything like this is going to be a good pick for these cards. For Scheherazade's quick card, utility seemed like the main focus of the day, so give her something that is going to allow her to purge some debuffs from her because she doesn't really have the ability to do so. White Vessel's Command Seal is of course the premier option, but if you don't have one of those laying around, Code Cure remains an acceptable and freebie substitute. And finally, for Scheherazade's Buster card, I highly recommend Magus of Flowers if you can spare it. You can only use this once every 3 turns. It will charge Scheherazade's NP gauge by a flat 10% when she has to use her Buster card. So this way, even if the card draws aren't entirely in your favor, you still have quite a few reasonable outlets to charge Scheherazade's Noble Phantasm. If you end up hitting the loop, maybe this will overall help you close the gap. Overall, gang, Scheherazade is definitely a character that's gotten better the longer the game has gone along. She has aged like a fine wine, but unfortunately, compared to a bunch of other casters, she's not really going to be a be-all, end-all band-aid. There's a lot of other AoE casters out there that I know a lot of other people would prefer to use, like, say, Seek, like, say, Anastasia. However, even with these characters still in the game, Scheherazade does have her niche that she ends up fitting comfortably in against king characters. And after all of the upgrades she received, she is a very serviceable AoE caster pick. So you can absolutely use her. She is not unsalvageable. She is not bad, not in any way, especially after all those rank ups. Is she going to be optimal? No. But if you don't care about her being optimal, like I really don't, you can go ahead and use Scheherazade as your main AoE caster without any worries. But of course I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts about Scheherazade down in the comment section below. Allies, craft essences, command codes, etc. Whatever you're using, let's all come together to help each other out. And if you summoned her, please let us know down below as well. I want to share in your excitement. Those messages, even if I can't respond to them, always put a smile on my face. If you want to talk some more FGO, my Discord server is always open. If you think I'm doing a good job, you can go ahead and hit me up on Patreon. As always, a major thank you to all of the patrons that continue to give every single month. Y'all are great. And if you want to watch us play some games live, I do stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So maybe consider stopping around for that. Anyways, this is Kawaii50. I hope this video was able to help you out, and you have a phenomenal day. I'll see you in the next one.